Use the Force, Luke.
Sometimes truth isn't good enough.
I feel the need for speed.
Ray, when someone asks you if you're a god, you say yes!
Because it's their time. Their time. Up there. Down here, it's our time. It's our time down here.
Know something? It is our time. It is our time down here at FrostCast 44 on Winter Wolf's Den. Wednesday nights, 9 o'clock. There's no place I'd rather be during the week. I look forward to this all week long because typically King Z throws me articles and news stories and opinions and things all weekend. And I got to wait all week to get him in here live on Wednesday night so I can tell him all the ways he's wrong, even though it usually comes back to bite me an ass. But we're going to bring him in because we do have to catch up on some things. Lots to talk about all over nerddom. Looks like the world might be healing, and I think that's kind of the I think that might be the flavor of the show tonight, King. So come on in here so we can get crack-a-lacking. Dude, how you doing? I know you've been fighting a bit of a head cold. You good?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm in the middle phase. So how my cold works is that it goes to one side of my face. My eyes water, my nose runs, and I hate a runny nose. It's just so annoying.
It is.
And then it gets to the middle part, and I kind of get like really sleepy that day, and I got some like congestion, and then the next day it goes to the other side of my face. So tomorrow I should be on the other side of my face, and then it leaves my body. So, but I'm taking all the right things. I'm taking some immunity shots, the little things with like orange juice and like
Take care of yourself, dude.
Yeah, and then drowning myself in Red Bull to stay awake and Dayquil.
Well, it's not like you're gonna take a sick day over a little head cold. I don't think that's not how we're wired.
No,
way.
I'd keep my sick days for when I feel better.
Right. Like I did today. That's neither here nor there. I'm glad you're up for it. And the head cold slapped you in the face over the weekend. You're definitely feeling it. So I appreciate you coming through. And good evening. What's up, dude?
Good evening. Thank you for joining us again this week.
Appreciate it. Got a couple of, I think, the kind of interesting topics. We got a banger starter topic, though. And I feel like usually our starter topic gets us off on tangents of like fast food or random sports statistics or time King Z spent overseas in the sandbox, things like that. But this week, we're actually going to just dial it in to an actual news event story thing. Big casting for fans of fantasy and genre and things like that. The Harry Potter show goes public with casting of their big three. Now, these are like the last three roles to get cast. Like they had already cast all the big ones, which is kind of hilarious. I mean, all the other supporting big ones. You know, they have your Minerva, they had your Dumbledore, they had your Hagrid, they had your Snape. That was a bit of a controversy. We're going to talk about that. So it's going to be interesting to talk about this. And Derpy, welcome. I'd like to clarify, Kingsley is probably wondering why on earth Harry Potter is existing because money.
Yeah,
Was
pretty
there a
true.
question for that? Were you wondering why Harry Potter exists?
I mean, you always know we'll meet again in Spaceballs 2, The Search for More Money.
More money. But of course it does. And I think that we'll just jump right into the topic. I think this show, when it came out, there was initially, I think, a lot of hype around the show because there is a section of fans that weren't a section of people, or Harry Potter fans, book-wise, that weren't satisfied with the abridged versions that they got in the books because a lot of them did get the treatment that Jackson's original Fellowship of the Rings trilogy got. You know what I mean? They had to move some things around, condense some things, eliminate some characters combined.
You kind of have to. Adaptations are hard. It is the focal point of the channel that we always say adaptations are hard. Right. You have to cut something for time. No one's going to sit in there for a 4-hour movie. Now they'll watch 8 1-hour episodes making a 8-hour movie, but they won't do it all in one sitting. But they usually do. Anyways,
I want to throw a miniature red challenge flag on that. We will sit there for 4 hours if it's good, as evidenced by all of the director's cuts of the Fellowship of the Rings trilogy. Yeah, some of those movies are an easy 3.5, 4 hours long, especially Return of the King. That might be 6 to 7 hours long. I don't remember.
Yeah,
we will do that.
And then it all goes with different casting times, when you have certain actors on set, when you can get to certain locations. There's a lot that has to be moved around. It is the first AD has a juggling job that is crazy. Unless you're a completely organized person, never become a first AD.
I think that you're definitely right about that. And Oak Derpy says, I'm wondering how they replace the music of John Williams. Dude, not well. I guarantee not well, because I think the main theme and a bunch of the other supporting kind of pieces from the movie set are almost as iconic in my head as Star Wars or Indiana Jones, things like Jaws, things that I grew up with. So I don't think they have the stones to use the old stuff. It's supposed to be its own standalone thing, so I don't think they probably will. I think they'll willingly not look at that. But what I was saying about the show being announced is I think a lot of people thought we were going to get a clean slate. They had big plans, big talk about how each season was going to be dedicated to one of the books. So like you were just saying, dude, you could get maybe we were going to get 8 to 12 hours.
Yeah, for one book.
A book that's 300 plus pages, which would be slapping.
Yeah, did you have time to actually dig into the details, get some of the underlying stories, some of the B plots, some of the C plots going on? You didn't get some of that would get cut in a movie because of saving for time.
Yeah, for sure. And I saw a thing today. It was covered elsewhere on YouTube. You guys can go find it. I don't have an article pulled for it, but somebody said that the speculated budget for this, because it was planning a long-term run, might have approached somewhere to $7 to $8 billion.
Yes,
amortized over like a decade of or 12 years of this show.
Yeah,
being
12
in production,
years,
being made, something like that. It's crazy money, stupid money. And Darby says, from what I heard, book 1 will be covered in season 1 by 6 to 8. Oh, right, and then a transition into season 2. Maybe we'll have to wait and see. But I think a lot of that's up in the air for a lot of people now. I think a lot of the hype and a lot of the shine has dulled off on this show.
And a lot of that happened because they promised that it would be more accurate to the book. It would be more accurate. And the one thing that they're not listening to is the descriptions of the cast. Now, I have not read the books, so I'll be completely upfront. So I don't know how these are actually described. So I don't know a lot of those. So from what I see with these 3, they look like they're the right age. They look like they're going to be fun on screen. There are a lot of Indian/Pakistanis in England, so the girl casting fits an England demographic. So I am not. That doesn't shake me at all. It's just something that could change easily, and I think she.
They hired a real ginger.
And they hired a real ginger. Yep.
Yep. So I'm going to drop the world's hottest take on you right now, because you probably didn't see this coming from me. I'm fine with this casting for this young lady, right? I'm fine with it, not even because it's a realistic representation of London's population present day. I'm fine with it because it's somebody that's read the book, right? You got all the right in the world to be upset about the Snape casting. That flies in direct opposition to how the character is physically described, how it actually plays into his perception as the bad guy character and being sickly and the evil looking guy. He's supposed to be pale. It's how that works, right? Hermione's description, to the best of my knowledge, and some rudimentary, follow-up crash course today, just to reflect, since it's been about 5 years since I went back and read Sorcerer's Stone. She's only ever physically described as having buck teeth and bushy hair. Her skin color is never mentioned. Not in the way that Harry's, lightning bolt scars mentioned, or that we know the Weasley family are famously gingers. Those are traits that are built in. We know what Hagrid looks like, traits that are built in to his description every time he's on the page. Hermione, though? Nope, not so much. So I don't really care that they went with somebody that's not white, because the character in the book wasn't described that way. And just because people like whichever Emma that is that's Stone or Roberts. I always mix them up.
That's Emma Watson.
There was the third Emma. Thank you. Right? So just because she had the first crack at the visual medium doesn't mean that's how the character must be portrayed, especially if it was left ambiguous in, as we're always talking about, source material. Yeah. I think people got to pump the brakes on this little girl. I really think you do. This isn't a swap in the same way you can righteously be pissed that they hired the guy they did for Snape. That's cause for some concern, especially like you mentioned earlier, when they were talking about selling you a bill of goods that included, story accurate depictions of these novels that people have loved for going on 25, 30 years now.
And that's the whole thing with my tag that you see is what's with all this hate mail is that these kids are going to get hate mail. These little kids
that ain't right.
Who's going to grow up on stage because they're not Daniel Radcliffe. They're not Emma Watson. And just all these, and these are going to be grown men grown women sending this hate mail to these kids who are literally going to be growing up before our eyes.
You know, I'll need to back off with that. That's a stupid. And we took up for all them kids on Skeleton Crew. We took up for all those kids on Percy Jackson. I've taken up on several occasions the case of anybody harassing anybody from Stranger Things when they were actually not 35 years old, when they were actually 11.
Yeah.
You know, like these kids in real life are legitimately 11 years old each. I looked them all up earlier because I wanted to get a feel for the backgrounds. The actors they've cast to play Harry and Hermione, respectively, are classically trained stage actors. Like they went to a performing school and have both performed on Broadway, like in Broadway level of productions. The young lady was in something called it was like a Matilda Broadway show, and then the young guy playing Harry was in something called Grow. I don't remember that, but he's a classically trained stage actor. So like they have talent. Like they were looking for these kids for 2 years. They interviewed or they auditioned tens of thousands of kids, and they picked these 3. You know, so I don't see how we can't get butthurt about who they picked when they literally stuck to what the book gave them for source. They kept they kept the ginger. I don't know how many times I have to pound that point home. Is there anybody that didn't think that was going to be a thing? Like it was right there. They obviously they weren't going to keep the ginger. But you
have to keep the ginger. You kind of have to keep. You have to keep the core 3 in a certain way, and these are the core 3. It's always these 3, and he has to be a ginger. Harry kind of has to be poor. Wow, that's a lot of auditions.
That's stupid auditions, right? But I'm saying it's 2 years of work. But continue. You got to go on your roll. You're entering flow state. Go for it.
And the female, long as she is fun and she can portray that I have to work harder than everyone else and get everything right type mentality right, I think it should be
slightly
fine.
Uppity. She could be slightly uppity because that's Hermione. Yeah. But here's my problem with the casting. I think they're setting this girl up in a way that's unnecessary, right? Because one of the things the Harry Potter books did was the writing that you and I are always talking about, where if you want to do commentary, when you want to do social commentary, right? You gotta spread it thin. You can't be on the nose. You gotta go subtle, right? So they invented the whole Muggle, mudblood, full blood thing, pure blood, whatever, to talk about differences, to talk about racism. It's coded for racism, of course. So now, when James Potter has a problem with Snape and calls him mudblood or whatever, it doesn't mean mudblood. Now, when Draco calls Hermione mudblood, it doesn't mean mudblood. It means the other word with the hard R. And I just think optically, it was a bullet you guys could have dodged, like Neo in the Matrix. It didn't need to be a problem because the story already was exploring that dynamic in classes and racism without calling it classes and racism.
And I mean, you're trying to paint that picture because who's the one teacher Harry has a problem with the whole time? Something's not right here, Dumbledore. And it's the one, the one black guy.
The one black dude, of course.
Yeah, the one black teacher that, he's the one who has I have a problem with.
Right.
It just doesn't give you that good dynamic. Even though he has a problem with him for different reasons, it's still the optics of it.
And then I'll double down on the optics of that too. That poor guy, and again, these are just actors doing jobs. Secure the bag, cash the check. Like, I can't hate you for it. But like that dude now, in the 3 or 4 scenes where Snape actually does raise his voice, there are going to be people be like, well, there's the angry black guy. We're waiting for that. I'm like, no, I wasn't waiting for that. It was unnecessary. We needed Hans mother flipping Gruber in the role. And Adam Driver was right there. Maybe he just didn't want to do small screen. I don't know. Maybe.
That or he can't do a British accent.
I mean, he's a talented dude. Maybe, there's no way he can. I don't know. They talked about this when Snape was cast. Snape getting tormented by James because it's such. There's 2 things that hit you when the casting is announced. First, there's just the immediate shock because you're like, wow, we've only ever seen the Snape character one time. It's Alan Rickman. He does the pale thing with the dark clothing. It's very stark. It's very Nosferatu. It has a thing to it. But then immediately you scroll through all the plot points in your head and you're like, oh yeah, that's right. He doesn't just have a thing. The reason, like King was saying, he's got a thing for Harry. Oh, why? Oh, because Harry's dad bullied him to the point of like borderline self-harm in front of the whole school. So now it's a hate crime. Like they've invited this unnecessary strife to a show that had the same amount of hype around it as anything I've ever seen on streaming. Yeah. Any Mandalorian, anything.
Except for, was it the millennials? They're the only ones who had a real problem with it because they're like, this is a series we didn't ask for. We don't need it rebooted. Right. We have the movies.
Yeah, see, but again, that's hubris right there to think that's the only version that needs to be told. You know what I mean? Like, they're wildly successful films based on wildly successful books, but they're not perfect. And a couple of them, I bet they wish they could get a second crack at. Looking at you, Goblet of Fire. You know what I mean? Like, that was the fourth one for King. He's
yep. Yeah, I know which one it is.
I got you. I was just pulling your chain. But you know what I mean? Like, they've invited the same kind of like controversy upon themselves without putting somebody out there, without putting a talking head out there like Rachel Zegler to be like, well, this isn't going to be the Snow White from 1928 because that's weird. Like, they didn't even have to do that. They literally said, hey, we hired this dude. He's a stage actor. I think he's from... is he Kenyan? He's African by birth. I can't remember from where. And all they had to do is put that out there, and all of a sudden now people have those kind of eyes on it where like there's just suspicions and red flags being raised, which is unfortunate because it didn't need to be that way.
Yeah, because here's all the other castings that's been announced right here.
Some of these are bangers, dude. Some of these are absolutely bangers.
I do believe that only Nick Frost could replace him as Hagrid. Yeah, I do believe
solid.
That.
Rest in peace. I can't remember the actor's name, but he just passed. Was it Robbie or Richie Coltrane?
Something like that. Yeah, I have to look it up.
That's cool.
Yeah, but he just passed. I think it was last year.
Mm-hmm. It's within the last 3 or 4 anyway. Lithgow is Dumbledore. Great pick. Lithgow can do a psychopath. We all know that. He can do goofy funny if we kick it back to his old sitcom days. What was that show? Third Rock.
Third Rock from the Sun.
Third Rock, right? That's not bad. Robert Coltrane. Thank you, Pape. I see you there in the corner of my eye. I don't, at a glance, know who they got to play McGonagall there. I don't know who that actress is.
I don't think I know her either.
And she looks like she might be a little... I mean, let's look at the difference there. There might be a little age discrepancy there. Like maybe they aged her down significantly.
Yeah, but the one they had in the movie, like, she is like a national treasure in England.
God rest her soul. She passed recently as well.
Yep. She's a fantastic actress.
Yeah, I loved her as old Maggie in Hook from like forever ago. So she was great. She's Angela Lansbury level for me, like the doting grandma actress. I love them both. You know, very sad when they both passed. So if they aged her down, I wonder if there's a reason. You know, like is there going to be another male character like on staff? Like is she supposed to have a thing with Hagrid or something? Although none of that would make sense. Which seems like an interesting choice. And surely there was somebody out there of age that could work. But yeah, the Snape thing is the controversial point. The Hermione thing, do people leave that girl alone? Let her act. She, like I said, she's got stage training. This could be a big break for the 3 of them. If they tell the story correctly, it can only bomb because of the Snape thing in a lot of the same ways that people are hopping. Not that we have a segment planned for this, but I don't know if I had told you with The Last of Us, the viewing figures are out. Like they've lost up to 60% of viewers since Joel's departure. It's like they only have themselves to blame if they make terrible story decisions to sink this show.
Don't all the cast members actually have like their first kiss moment in the storyline?
It wouldn't be. It's not in season 1. It's season. It's the Goblet of Fire.
Goblet of Fire.
Yeah, it's the Goblet of Fire later actually, because I think that's Hermione when she kisses the kid from the other school.
The Russian kid, right?
The Russian kid, air quote. Yeah. The Durmstrang kid, the captain of their Quidditch team.
Yeah.
Ron gets kissed on the cheek by LaFleur because she thinks he helped save the younger LaFleur from drowning. It's not his first like romantic kiss. He treats it that way, but he doesn't end up with like the girlfriend until a couple of books later. And then Harry, I think, kisses Cho. I can't remember. Victor Crumb. Dude, Pape is on fire today. Damn, couldn't remember his name. My man Pape stepping in for the Oracle. All right, put him on the payroll. I'm gonna call it the Pape roll. There we are. Yeah, I think Harry's first kiss, I think, is Cho later because she's going to the dance with the kid that dies. I can't remember his name either. Can't remember any names.
To my point is that we're gonna, like I said before, we're gonna watch these kids grow up. We're gonna literally watch their first kiss on screen.
Yep.
So
we have kind of pressure.
Yeah, like we know the problems that child actors have as they grow up due to all the stuff that they're called to do as kid actors, and some of the, especially more like the Disney type ones where they have more of those type of romantic situations. Some of them are playful, some of them might be starring, but they never really come out okay. I mean, look at Britney Spears. She was a Disney kid. Amanda Bynes. Like all these
other dumpster fire that's recently better now that she's recovered. She was in Herbie. Speaking of Disney.
Yeah. Lindsay Lohan.
Lindsay Lohan, yes, nicely done. Pape was going to say it in 3, 2, 1. Looking at the chat, nope, we got him on that one.
Yeah, and not including some of the. There's a lot of other ones. The Coreys, remember they were kid actors.
One of them not with us anymore because of it.
Yes,
in my opinion, can't prove that. But that's I think that's a thing we all kind of know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so these kids, assuming this show gets its run and it is orderly and it's not Netflix doing Stranger Things and having to contend with pandemics and writer strikes, if this show runs 8 books over 8 or 9 seasons and it's told in a timely fashion, that's probably like 12, like you were saying up front. Would you say 12 years, 15 years that it's being spaced out into? Like these kids will be in their mid-20s by the time it's done. And if they look young enough, they can still carry those roles through Deathly Hallows. Like that's a doable thing. Do Lost Boys in the house. Lost Boys, next review, lock it in. Lock it in.
Now
Summer
including their
movie.
comedy, License to Drive.
I love License to Drive. He's got $60. No, $80. He had $80 in his wallet for the tow truck. Yeah, that's a good movie.
Yeah, you can't get a tow for $80 anymore.
Dude, you can't get him to come out and tell you they're not going to take $80 for a tow. How much did it cost you to get the truck out the mud?
We're not going to talk about that.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that. Okay, no, we're not going to talk about that. But anyways, yeah, I feel the need to stick up for the cast. I'll say this: they're almost too Hollywood looking, especially the 2 boys. I think there's a certain gangliness to young Daniel Radcliffe as Harry Potter, where he looks like he's the run of the litter kind of thing, and that like he would be bullied by the fat cousin. This kid, he looks like he's fairly confident in himself. And the same thing with the ginger playing Ron. Like Ron looks like the 8th kid of a ginger family. You know what I'm saying? Like he's got that vibe to him that he knows where he is in the pecking order of things, and he woe is me, but he's loyal to a fault. You know what I mean? Like he has your back no matter what. And that's what makes that character great. But there's something about these 3, the 2 boys in particular. I think they're a little too Hollywood. But we'll see. But again, they have classic training. The kid playing Ronald does not. Like he just was somebody that showed up for the audition, if I remember my reading correct. I don't think he has any credits to him under his belt either. So he's the only one without stage training. I couldn't find any reference to him having stage training. That's what I mean. The new Harry doesn't look like he lived in a cupboard on the stairs. He looks like he was on 2 seasons of Glee. Or what was the other show? Riverdale or whatever? Like that.
Yeah,
show?
Riverdale. Oh, that is such a bad show. Oh,
no, but
you want to bash a show? Let's bash a show. Oh,
never
man.
Seen a minute of it. I can't do it. Listen, the only amount of Glee I've ever seen is watching The Office. Like that's it. Like when they did the watch party, and I think we just heard bits of it. That was all. But that's what I mean. New Harry looks like a theater kid. He looks like he's probably fairly confident in himself. He's not scarred up. He's not wearing the glasses here. Now, they're going to obviously run him through the glasses and get the hair all kind of nappy and knotted like he's supposed to have when we meet him. And God only knows what they do. If they do something with Hermione for the buck teeth, there's plenty of prosthetic work they can do. We'll see what they do with hair. But if they have her show up like this without doing anything to her hair like they did with young Emma in the first couple of movies, she very much had like the blown out hair. It looked like it was a little rat's nesty, but not too bad. And of course, she grew up to be gorgeous. And what can you do? You know what I mean? There's nothing you can do about that. But I don't know. I'll still give them a chance. It's still, but the red flag is up because of the Snape thing, and I just don't want this to become a vehicle for them to preach the social commentary with the isms and all that nonsense. Like we got that in the dose we were supposed to get it in the book, layered underneath something the author made up to code it for kids. I don't need this to be a show about the ills of hate crime at Hogwarts. It's not what I want.
All right, so let's move on.
Yeah, we got all this stuff to talk about, dude. And I feel like you got a lot to say on this, probably on this next one. If you want to dump into the Wheel of Time talk.
Wheel of Time.
Because I know this is a you thing.
They cut the sling load. It's time to go. You know you're in trouble when you have to recast going into season 2 one of your core characters, Matt Coffrin.
Yeet! Took himself right out of there.
Yeah, and he left under his own. He wasn't fired. He left, and then they had to recast. I did not watch past the 4th episode because of the way they were moving the story. I did not agree with it. And we all say, I've just said it before in the last segment here.
Say it again. Say it again louder for the people in the back.
Adaptations are hard. Adaptations are hard.
20-second timeout. 20-second timeout. Fantasy adaptations, I went for the full. Fantasy adaptations even harder, and they're triply harder when they're based on series that have fucking 17 books to them. That have spanned literally a decade and a half of writing, right? Started in the 90s-ish. Sanderson just finished it when? Like 5 years ago or something?
No, it was longer than that. Because I think, was it Robert Jordan passed away in 2007? I think he finished it in 2009, 2010.
Oh, I thought it was a little bit more recent than that. But anyways, the million books over 15 years. It's hard to adapt that giant story.
It is. It is extremely hard. But the first book is a layup. It is your central hero's journey, the unwilling hero.
Reluctant hero, yep.
Reluctant hero. The way they change Tom Maryland, the way they change oh man, I'm losing her name. Because you have Rin, she always pulls her braid. It's the one thing. You get so tired of hearing braid
I knew
pulls.
that. I knew that because that came up in all the articles I read about the show being canceled and that character. That's literally the only detail these articles could tell me about that character, and I wonder why. I wonder why that is. It's because it was written.
Yeah. Naveen. I still can't say it.
We're just going to call her Naive, bro. Yeah. Like you were for watching 4 episodes of the show. Hey-o! Got him!
Yeah, but the way they were changing her story, like her opening story, is that she's actually a good tracker, and she finds them when they run off from town because their town gets attacked. Of course, that's how it's all set up. Beautiful setup.
I want you to read this one out. So this is a you segment.
The Wheel of Time was a hot mess. It wasn't an adaptation. It was literally just grabbing a few bites here and a few bites there. Yeah. Like episode 3, they jumped ahead to almost the end of the book where they had someone trying to kill Matt and Rand too early. Like that doesn't happen until later when the Dark Friends track them down. Right. I'm surprised they didn't have him do the call down lightning on that one. Oh my God, it was so disjumbled, and they were just throwing in bits and pieces so they just say, hey, it's the Wheel of Time. No, it wasn't. And to you, Daniel Green, for giving that first season the thumbs up, you need to recheck your fandom. I will call you out, Daniel Green. You need to recheck your fandom. That show was terrible. And you didn't like The Witcher? The Witcher was 1,000 times better than the Wheel of Time ever was.
Season 1.
Season 1
of The Witcher. To be clear. Okay, great. Now we're going to have a bunch of Daniel Green bots rolling up in our chat. This is the big break we needed, Kingsley. This was good. This is good.
Oh, I'll have a throwdown. We'd have a debate. That's right. I challenge you, Daniel Green, to a Wheel of Time throwdown.
Lord. Oh, he went there, folks. He went there. Here we go. Buckle him in, everybody. The King is fired up there. I knew this topic was going to fire him up, too. Because when I saw that article, right, I was living vicariously through Wheel of Time fans. I'm like, I was doing like the slow clap, and then I stood up, and I'm not going to stand up now. I'm too lazy. It's like 9:30, right? And I built into like a rousing round of applause. I was like, if Amazon's pulling the rug out from under this, is the next big domino to fall Rings of Power? Is all that bullshit about the money they spent? Maybe they're finding ways to buy contracts out and get out of this nonsense.
What season are they on?
They're going into 3.
Okay, 3 should still happen because I believe they signed both of these to a guaranteed three season run.
Dude, I was hearing Rings of Power was guaranteed 5. That all the money had been front loaded into all the set designs and everything for season 1 on Numenor and all the other main locations in Rivendell and all that stuff. So they thought they were doing 5. If they Pape's saying they're on 3. Okay. I'm saying with the departure of several people from that show and the introduction of new characters, they lost their Sauron in like after the first season. Like not their Sauron, the guy that was playing the douchey other orc guy that was supposed to be his opponent. I'm like, he doesn't have an opponent. Stop it. You talk about lore breaking. Everybody knows that the guy faking that he's not Halbrand was his name on the show. We know he's Sauron. No one buys this. No one buys that Galadriel doesn't know that's the Dark Lord. Nobody Adar. Dude, Pape, seriously, we're PO box. We're just gonna send you some money. Legally we can't do that. Do a PO box. I've been informed by legal. We can't do that. The world building was atrocious in that show. You know it, I know it, everybody knows it, but they're still sticking it out because they had the political winds with them. That's all changing now. And I think they're coming around to getting dumpstered in their ratings. And without the government free money rolling in through certain programs, I think they've had to take a hard look. And I think the world is course correcting in some of these franchises. It's never going to be what it was. Well, I mean, I can't say that because Andor is what it was.
Yeah.
Interesting point. But dude, imagine if Rings of Power topples after Wheel of Time. Imagine that we get closer to like September, and they're like,
so
departed for creative.
If you love your fantasy series, you do not want Amazon to buy the rights to your fantasy series. Send it to Hulu. Let Hulu have it. Send it to Netflix. They do okay. Send it to Max. They're hit or miss depending on who's running shows over there. Send it to them. Don't send it to Amazon. Say no. Just say no. Paramount needs a hit more worse than some of these baseball players bad at batting 128 this year.
Ooh. Well, let's talk about Paramount for a quick second to remind everybody that their big claim to fame on their stupid ass streaming service for sci-fi and fantasy was Halo. Good God,
that's why I said they need a hit. Whew. They need a hit.
Dude, you want to talk about easy layups? Like, dude, just adapt the story from the first game. It's not difficult. Halo is 30 years old now almost. You put that show on streaming, right? You get a bunch of 15-year-old kids that have never played Halo and be like, dude, look at that 8-foot-tall dude in the mechs in the power armor versus all these aliens with plasma guns. He's got an AI in his arm. She's kind of hot. It's a no-brainer layup, dude, for the genre. But no, pink-haired Spartan. She was the star of the show. Master Cheeks, buns out, suns out, buns out in the locker room. What were they thinking? I can't remember. It was Kwan was her name, the Korean girl who was on the show. She was the key to everything because she had psychic fire powers for a planet that didn't matter anymore. I can't even with that show. But I don't know, man. I think that the Wheel of Time thing is indicative of bigger things, and I had I dovetailed that into the Punisher bit, which is just really just like a quick throw out article that I had noticed earlier. Excuse me, guys. Hold on, I saw there from Pape. Think they can revive Halo? Dude, it would take a 5-year break, and it would need to be on another streaming service, like Kingsley was saying. I don't think they can go back to the well because I know literally everybody IRL. I'm gonna talk like the kids are talking. What up, fellow teenagers? The people I know in real life that were watching Halo canceled Paramount Plus after it bombed, and they haven't gone back. There's nothing else on the service they wanted. They would be hesitant to re-up that service, considering the cost of all the things. Are still expensive around here. People got 5, 6, 7 streaming things, and a lot of people haven't cut cable yet. I don't know if they could do it. So I think that it would take a break. But what they could do is, like King said, somebody's got a little treatment. Netflix buys the rights. Boom, another animated film. Because Forward Unto Dawn was all right. Like there are a couple of animated Halo films that are okay. I think
they have books that they could.
Oh yeah. It's got a little EU. Yeah, no, it's got a little expanded universe for sure. Well, they got a few games that are outside the main timeline of games too, like a couple of like real-time strategy games.
Reach would be an awesome movie.
Mm-hmm. But see, Reach wouldn't be one you'd want to start with, though.
Even though it's technically where it starts.
But you don't want to see you don't want to see a whole team of Spartans die at the end. As awesome as that ending was.
Their death to kill ratio, though.
Awesome. Dude, I held out that final battle on I never played on Legendary because that's just not, I don't enjoy my games being impossible, right? But the Heroic, the next one down, dude, I held out that rush of elites coming to kill me for, I shit you not, like 12 minutes.
Yeah, I was going hard.
I was like, you're not taking me. It's not happening. And then the closing voiceover, it's like, you gave your life for the Federation or whatever, but your soul remains on Reach. I'm like, that's pretty badass. All right, I'll take that. I'll take that down. That was pretty good. But Reach would be great. Dude, I think you might have missed that week, Peg. We were talking about that a couple of weeks ago when the Ryan Gosling Starfighter movie was announced. That Star Wars, it was in April. That's right, because it was at a Star Wars Celebration.
Japan.
We were talking about it was in Japan, right? We were actually talking about a Rogue Squadron series, and King Z and I spitballed like a couple of ways you could do the Imperial Flight Academy, you could do Rogue Squadron straight out of the book, you could get Patty Jenkins to bring her treatment back because she's into it, because her dad was a World War II fighter pilot or whatever. There was source there, plus outside the box spec stuff that would have worked. King Z had a great idea if I remember right.
I was going with the Top Gun story.
That's right.
Yep, where you have like a special mission going on, and they're in academy school, and they needed pilots.
It mentioned it. My bad. Sorry, dude. It was you. That's the problem, dude. With the chat in the millions, the screen's going by so fast, we really can't keep up with this. I'm sorry, we lost you in the shuffle. My bad.
So I think Rogue Squadron would be a better series than it would be movie.
Yeah,
because it just deserves that type of thing. And you could roll it up with the Rangers. You could make like a whole Special Forces Star Wars edition. Rangers and Rogue Squadron cleaning up the remnants of the Empire.
100%, dude. I think you're right for like 5 different reasons on that point. The first of which is that anytime you're talking about squadron, it automatically lends itself to ensemble cast. You can have 5, 6, 7 cadets, a couple of instructors, a couple of love interests. They don't all have to be people that are like on the base doing that stuff. There's a life to live there, and then you can mix it, like you said, with the Rangers of the New Republic. Maybe they've suffered a couple of losses. They need to develop a couple of newbie pilots ahead of their time and put them through their paces, because there is that special mission you were talking about. Now that's right, dude. I know. See, he's talking about it a week later. That was a good treatment for X-Men. Somebody tried dunking on it in the comment section though on a short. Did you see that?
No.
Did you see that? Somebody was like, "Oh, that sounds terrible." I was like, "I'm gonna go ahead and just not leave that there because it was stupid." It was a damn good idea, and the chat live thought it was a good idea. The four film feature arc culminating with Archangel, not Darkseid. Whoops.
Wrong
I know.
series.
I did the thing.
Well, I mean, I grew up reading X-Men. Like, my first comic book, of course, was Spiderman. I mean, whose wasn't? But when I was in middle school through high school, X-Men was my jam. I got the very first.
That was the 90s.
Yeah,
Mid-90s.
and I got that number 1 X-Men, and I just rolled it out. Plus, I watched all the animated series that they had. Yeah,
and now we got a channel strike. I did one no too many. Here comes legal.
It is for entertainment purposes only under the Fair Use Act and review purposes.
Dude, I love that you got that committed to memory after having copy pasted it into like 97,000 things. Good lord. But yeah, you're right. That makes sense. You're an X-Men guy, and that's why, and it bleeds over into the Doomsday stuff in a way that you're going to be able to keep me like informed as we go, because that wasn't the comics that I was big into. I was definitely more onto the DC side of things. I like me some Green Lantern. I like some Batman back in the day. And then when Image exploded onto the scene, anything that had McFarlane's name on it, coming off of his run on Spider-Man, which was probably the only thing I knew about Marvel back in the day, I was picking up left, right, and sideways every week. It was crazy. There we are. I am a Legionnaire. Indeed.
Are you on Galaxy's Edge with Ford and Chung?
I am not. But yeah, the comics today not running like they used to run back then, and X-Men today look wildly different than what they used to look like, unfortunately. But this is a segue. You're gonna like this. The Punisher, who recently suffered under the yoke of nonsensical modern day interpretations and redesigns, especially as it pertained to the symbol. The symbol. Oh, well, all right, Legion Superheroes. Gotcha. The Punisher, who certain elements of our sphere thought was leaning too right-wing, thought was leaning too extreme, had the symbol changed, had the character's background changed, had the character renamed. They reintroduced a brand new guy. I think it was Daniel Garrison or some nonsense to be a different Punisher. because they were big hurt that soldiers and cops have been using that icon for decades, and it became popularized after Chris Kyle, for sure.
The legend.
Saying, I mean, I have a Punisher with the red, white, and blue through the skull hat around here somewhere. Everybody had that. And what these dipshits don't get is that it's not about the symbol giving you an authorization to kill a group of people, you jackasses. It just represents the power fantasy of being somebody that can control things that aren't controllable in real life. That's all it is. That's
Not
all
including
it was.
it's an X-ray of Frank Castle's head when he had a bullet wound in it.
Did not know that part, but that makes it even better. So, I mean, it's built into the character's DNA. It's not commentary on some like latent desire to persecute or judge people. It's about a dude cleaning up the mob and like crooked cops and any other criminal that hurts people that gets in the way, and not playing by rules to put criminals back out on the streets like we see every day in real life. That's all that character is. That's it.
If someone breaks into your house, now I am definitely quoting a police officer in this one. If someone breaks into your house, please shoot them. Because if you shoot someone who breaks into the house, there's zero chance of them reoffending.
It's true. 0 reoffenders after fatal gunshot wounds. Now, it depends on what kind of state you live in. Now, you live up here. We're not technically a stand your ground state. So there's a bunch of procedural shit I have to do.
You're just dumb if you break in a house down here. I think everyone has an arsenal. Like, we went to the range the other day for a men's group thing. And like people were like, this dude had like 7 different types of rifles, not including his 3 ARs, 7 handguns, and a freaking old school grease gun. I was like,
it's just too much to carry. Too much to carry to the range, though. You know,
he brought it in the back of his truck.
That's it. I travel light. Like I got one range bag. It accommodates the 2 or 3 pieces of hardware I own. You know,
as
ammunition for the day.
tell everyone, I have one gun. Boat accident. But if I have one, I'll have many soon if it comes to that.
Right. You know, rotate calibers in practice. You know, stock up, keep them dry. Everybody, you know, keep the humidity in check. And it's tough for you guys down south. So you gotta keep it all dry. Just saying. But yeah, the Punisher, I wonder, and I brought this up because the article about the Punisher, just to close that thought loop, was about how they're bringing him back for a limited series after he's been out for a couple of years. And I'm wondering if this is just not a quiet but tacit acknowledgement that the people that you keep pandering to, that keep telling you they're offended by the logo, were never the people that were going to buy the books. So they weren't going to show up to have your back for that. Yeah. And then when you see the response to John Bernthal's version of the Punisher in the Daredevil show and his own shows, of course, people love the character, as is that guy, the real symbol. And then that reinvigorates interest in the book.
And he even confronted that with the cops wearing his symbol and stuff like that.
Because they were dirty.
They were clowns. Like, there's a bunch of clowns. Right. You don't know what it's like to have the hurt, to have the pain that goes along with this.
Dude, 1 batch, 2 batch, penny and dime, man. Like that was exactly right. That was a great scene you just mentioned there. You know, and I wonder if they're just starting to figure it out, man. Because I don't know if you noticed, if you've been on Steam lately, but like Star Wars Battlefront 2 has exploded again in player base. And when you talk to people online, they're like, dude, I just watched Andor and I wanted to get back into Star Wars. I needed a back mechanism to like get back into that galaxy far, far away. Now, this game's 10 years old. You know what it has more players than now? Everything that came out the last 2 years, shooter-wise. You know what I mean? All the games that fell off, that got wrecked by stupid game designs, woke studio nonsense. The Battlefront right now is cleaning up, and that includes with their cheating. They do have a cheating problem. They've had a cheater problem for a long time in that game.
I think no one can fix that. As soon as they find a fix, they find a way around the fix.
Yeah, and it's EA. EA notoriously doesn't give a shit. You know what I mean?
They really don't. Once the game's out, it's like, we're done.
Right. Dude, this 10 years old. Right. This game also had, if you ever played it, had the star card system, which it lets you increase your character's abilities in game to by percentage points. So like when you played 1,000 hours of this game in a shooter, like your dude's shield just lasts for like 7 years versus like if you signed on today, it's like a 15-second shield. You know what I mean? It's like it's that. It's not a pay to win advantage. It was like I've put in the time to win advantage. So it can be tough for new players, but there's still 10,000, 100,000 people playing it. Whatever. It's 10 years old. Yeah. You know, because people want good stuff and they're going to go back to good stuff. So if the Punisher is being reintroduced with his OG symbol as Frank Castle, as he's supposed to be, people will be down.
Yep.
It's only a mini. It's only a limited launch. Like it's not his own book that he's supposed to carry.
It's like the limited series that they're going to do with Bernthal with the Punisher series.
Right. And hopefully that does better than Daredevil. Honestly, like it hurt to see Daredevil get the lukewarm, to be generous reception that it did. That was kind of a bummer there. But fingers crossed. Brand damage is King Z. You point out all the time. Brand damage.
Brand damage.
Worse than brain damage almost. It's more costly.
Yep.
We could stay on comics for like 2 more seconds real quick. I think we round the show out with the last 2 kind of things because they're kind of just rumor stuff, both pertaining to Marvel. If you saw the other plan thread that I sent over there, one of them we want to do the Spiderman one real quick. I just want to get your kind of take on that, just in the title that I sent you.
Sure.
Do you need to see any version of the Hulk in Spidey 4? Brand New Day, I think is the name.
Yeah, Brand New Day. No, I don't need to see the Hulk.
Any version, not just the Ruffalo one. Like if you get the Eric Bana one, if you get the Ed Norton one, if you get anybody besides Professor Hulk.
My favorite one is the Ed Norton one.
Yeah,
that is my favorite one. Even though the Eric Bana one I liked because he kept getting bigger the angrier he got. I did like that. I do not like his backstory behind it. That he's a genetic mutation of his son that keeps getting Planet Hulk. See, the Hulk is a very polarizing character because when done right, he's really good. But then you can go over the top with it. Like, what will stop the Hulk? Like, in the old school TV, when you had, who played Bruce Banner?
Bill Bixby played.
Bill Bixby, Lou Ferrigno, Hulk. And they had the movies coming out after the series was off. And they actually had Daredevil in one of those. Yeah. And it was called the Death of the Incredible Hulk. Yep. And how he did is he fell from a helicopter to the Incredible Hulk, which he would totally live for. But he calmed down enough as he was falling that he turned into Bruce Banner and then died as Bruce Banner. Yep. But, like I said, he doesn't really have a true weakness like Superman has kryptonite. Other than, was it Betty? Yeah, Betty. Betty Ross. Yeah. So he's a very polarizing character, as I said. So I don't need him because they're going to do Ruffalo and his fucked up version because I'm just tired of Ruffalo.
Me too.
Someone just needs to slap Ruffalo across his face, tell him why couldn't he get run over by a snowplow and had to leave acting?
I know, right, dude? We lost Jeremy Renner. We could have lost Ruffalo. Yeah. Thanos slapped him. That was the problem. He beat his ass. Proper. That was savage. That was the most savage ass kicking I've ever seen.
I'm sick of the actor Mark Ruffalo because just of who he is and how he portrays himself.
Hold on, Pape got him.
Yeah.
Pape got him good.
You wanted Hulk.
Savage Hulk. Yeah, you got Emo Hulk. Exactly right.
I feel so embarrassed. No, you're the Hulk. Act like it. Grow up.
Remember that time in She-Hulk? She-Hulk told him that he doesn't know what anger is because he's never been catcalled while walking to work. Remember that? Remember how he didn't have a response for that though?
Yeah.
I remember. I was doing reviews. I remember. God awful. That show was a dumpster fire. Dude, you know what? The only version of Hulk I want is this one. Like I want it in his own. I want a movie or I want an animated thing. Like a mod. I don't think maybe there is one. I don't know. I don't want a show. I think like a whole movie that involves, Tony, Doctor Strange, the Black Bolt, and Reed,
Professor X.
And Professor X wasn't one of the ones that sent him to space, though. It was the other 4 dudes.
The other 4, the Illuminati?
Yeah, and this they are. Yeah. It's Reed Richards, Black Bolt, Tony, and Doctor Strange. Shoot him into space because blah, blah, blah.
He was too much of a threat on Earth.
After he had saved the day 75 times, he took that shit personal. And then when he gets up there and sets up a life, his family dies up there, and he sends his ass
because of them, because the ship blows up.
But I think it's a setup. I haven't finished the book yet. Don't ruin it for me. No spoilers. If that means you too. I got to the part where the ship exploded and leveled the city, killed his wife and his kid. I got to that part.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm reading them out of order too. Somebody told me World War Hulk came first, and then it was Planet Hulk.
Yeah.
No, clearly not. Clearly not the right order.
Oh yeah, it's Planet Hulk. He starts on Planet Hulk, and then World War Hulk's when he comes back to Earth.
When he comes back, right? Exactly. I was like, this doesn't seem right as I'm reading it, so I went back out the other day and got the right order of books.
Another fun one.
I would want that.
Yep. Another fun one, if you're a big Deadpool fan, is Deadpool kills all Marvel.
I have a friend that's about to let me borrow some. That's on my to-do list. That's on my to-do list. But I'm working my way through the Hulk stuff now, and I'm with you there 1,000%. I'm over completely the Ruffalo version. I don't need him. I don't, even if there is a comic accurate tie-in for him and Peter Parker, I don't care. I don't want to see it.
I do think with
I'm sure there is.
the new Spider-Man though, there needs to be a tie-in to Miles Morales.
Yes,
I think
100%.
it's time. I think it's time to introduce Miles Morales.
We've said that. And I think it would work best now because you've got Peter Parker in high school still or going to college, and Miles Morales getting to like his senior year in high school. It doesn't have to be Peter B. Parker from the Spider-Verse stuff that he's in like his 30s and doing the mentor. They could just be buddies. They could be rivals. You know what I mean? And then come together kind of thing. But I don't need to see the Hulk at all in that. I just want a fucking Spider-Man movie. I don't want 5,000 cameos that mean nothing either. I definitely don't want that either. And I don't need villain overload. Have it be a 1v1 and write it right.
The only type of cameos I would be happy with if it was like the cameo of Luke Cage in the Daredevil Born Again, where it's a sign from the
Easter egg. It's an Easter egg, right?
Yep.
100%. 100%. Like, you know what I don't need in like Spidey 4 is legit like it's Mark Ruffalo walking in the background, or he shows up at Peter's school to do a guest lecture. Like, don't. Because then in the back of my head, I'm going to be like, at the end of the movie, when Spider-Man's getting his ass kicked, why isn't the Hulk there? And I don't want that either. You know, I missed that tape when I was diatribing. Will Sony run the Miles Morales stories as well? Dude, I can't imagine that they would maintain zero creative control because they run the Spider-Verse stuff, and that's been their only good stuff.
I think he's missing a letter in there. Will Sony ruin the Miles Morales story as well?
Awesome. I guess I'm feeling optimistic today, dude. In live action, maybe, because dude, I can't, dude. I shit you not. I had a friend tell me over lunch the other day that he thought Kraven the Hunter was a decent movie. You get that? Decent. And I'm like, dude, it might have been worse than both Morbius and Madam Web.
It's Morbius time.
It was Morbin time. Oh my god, dude. King might be feeling better. He's fired up. He's picking up on things. He's picking up on typos and getting pessimistic and getting fiery. That's why we finished with comics today. This is his wheelhouse. I gave him Wheel of Time and comics today, and that'll bring us into the to the next part of the other comics and like our last little bit here. So I don't know if you've ever watched. You ever watched Doomcock's channel? Funny Dr. Doom mask. It's like a fairly big YouTube channel.
No, I don't think I've seen him. I think Emergency Awesomeness is the one who always comes up with my news.
Okay. So Doomcock is he's a bit of a performer. He's got a whole stagecraft thing, good green screen stuff, very fake supervillain kind of motif that he does. It's wildly popular. He's something of a rumor channel. You know, I've got Hollywood spies tell me this, and this, which is always interesting to me. I like rumor stuff like that because I've got an IQ over 15, so I can do the grain of salt thing and just be like, oh, that sounds fun. Oh, Kathleen Kennedy's fired again. Okay. Cool. Like, that's fun. You and I can talk about that. I'm not going to go throw punches at the bar if somebody says, oh, it's not true. It's stupid. You know? So the rumor here that he was reporting on from his inside spies was that the test screenings for Fantastic Four ended so poorly that the ending of the movie was so bad. That's the source of all the reshoots that are in the rumor mill right now, leading into the movie's release in 6 weeks? Whatever it is now. We're getting close. Right?
Yeah.
That the segments of the ending that they're reshooting involve the knots, and it's not the Silver Surfer. It's just not. I don't care that character existed for 4 episodes in a limited run 25 years ago. I don't give a shit. It's not Norrin Rad. Shouldn't have done that. Right? That she had the means to defeat Galactus in her the whole time, and that she just gives it to them. Like, she has a change of heart and then just hands them, like, the Doomsday device to kill Galactus, right? But more so, she's like, I'm going to give you this so you can defeat Galactus, but in defeating him, the destruction of his body will destroy large parts of the universe. But I'll take the body as far as I can get it away. You have to make preparations to leave Earth. And I'm saying to myself, this is like the dumbest 3 sequence of events I've ever heard. The heroes run, they kill the thing, but not the thing. They kill the boss, but then the body's going to destroy the Alpha Quadrant anyway. Like, wouldn't the Fantastic Four find a way not to have that happen, or sacrifice Earth the way the universe doesn't get destroyed? I don't know. It sounded really fucking stupid. I wanted to just run that rumor by you. Just get some thoughts on what I just said. Pick it apart. Pick it apart like you do.
It does sound very stupid. But, I mean, it could be something that they wrote into this. The reason why they galaxy jumped, or the timeline jumped, multiverse jumped to 616 is because of that. That makes kind of a much sense. Isn't
that concerning, though, that like if there's a rumor that's setting up to how that happens?
The whole part,
we saw the end credit. We saw the stinger. Yeah,
so what I would have done is I wouldn't have her have I have it in me the whole time type story.
It's a tangible thing that comes out of her body that she hands, not Reed Richards. It wasn't Reed Richards. You know who she handed it to?
Sue.
Because she's the leader of the group. Yeah. It's Sue's movie. They have the talk. They have the patriarchy talk.
So what I would see with it is what I would have done was I would have made it.
Can't make this shit up. I mean, I could. Kill switch, fail safe. I don't know. It's stupid. I'm just gonna leave it as it's stupid.
Yeah,
that's why.
Maybe that's why it was only a 4-episode run. She had the device the whole time.
I'm not going down to my local shop and be like, listen, I need these 4 issues. I gotta do some research. They're gonna be like, we're not selling them to you. It's fucking stupid.
So how I would have done it is that Reed Richards had to make the decision to push the line too far that caused the chain reaction that started destroying that universe, and then they fled knowing that they failed, and like you'll have a defeated version, because there has been a defeated version of Reed Richards that had to be built back up, and I think that would have played like he had to make the ultimate choice: destroy this guy and have a possibility of surviving, or 100% know you're going to die.
See, here's my problem. This is the same problem that I've had with a bunch of these versions. And dude, I can rope this all the way back to like the TLJ Luke Skywalker problem. You can tell these versions of defeated heroes after they've been given their modern due credit. You want to show me defeated Reed Richards? You want to show me Maker Reed Richards? You've got to show me Reed Richards at his peak for 2 movies before I'll even entertain the alternate versions of people that lose. You know what I mean? You can't show me Superman lose. This Superman movie comes out, it can't end with him being defeated and to be continued. You can't deconstruct things until they've been constructed. And just because they were originally constructed in like 1960, they haven't been done right on Fantastic Four. They haven't been done right now. You know what I mean? So maybe you guys could just really nail down getting the core character ideas and the family dynamic down before you go subverting things by being like, oh, well, you know, Pedro Pascal likes it when the women are in charge, so we're going to let this be Sue's movie. I don't know. Not what I want. You know, I don't want a Mary Jane movie either. Spider-Man, don't care. It was the worst level in Spider-Man 2 that just came out a couple of years ago, the game. It was pointless, but the game runner had to have that level for reasons. The movie doesn't need that, and I feel like this might be literally the last Marvel movie that makes that mistake. Because it's been in the can, and they're doing now what they can allegedly for last minute reshoots to maybe shore things up. This is why Doomsday got pushed to May, by the way.
Yeah. So I do want to comment on this. They should go with Molecule Man, old school villain. They need to go with Molecule Man. He needs to be somewhere in here before we get to Secret War because of how much he plays into Secret War. So they need like the actual, if they go with the actual Secret War storyline, he needs to be there because it's because of Molecule Man, Doom steals the power of the Beyonder.
Oh, even I know that name. Okay.
So
right, big deal.
They should have gone with him so he would be introduced so you would know what he could do. So I 100% agree with you.
And I'll tell you, dude, and this is the thing, and maybe we can leave on this question after a couple minutes discussion because I want to pick your brain one more time, right? Because you're on a roll with comic stuff, right? Marvel's been around for 7,000 years or whatever it's been, right? You mentioned Molecule Man. I've heard the name. I got a trading card for him somewhere from when I was 10. You know what I mean? But I have no idea who he is, what his power set is, what the big stories are. Wasn't my line of books, right?
Yeah.
Marvel, DC, Image, Dark Horse, Vertigo, all these comic lines, Boom, all the other ones that are out now. They've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of characters like that. Hundreds, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why are these studios so afraid to incorporate these concepts when it's been proven by guys like Gunn when they do things like Suicide Squad or like Guardians of the Galaxy that with the right touch, these D-list or lower characters can be likable, interesting, endearing, authentic, and bankable. Like, what are they so afraid of here? Especially if you keep a budget modest. What's the problem?
So for every Suicide Squad, you have a Blue Beetle.
Okay. That was a great 8-word answer. Nicely. And that's all tonight at FrostCast 44. We're out.
I mean, it's as simple as that. Because there's some that won't resonate. Because they do have a great B lineup, both in Marvel and in DC. I think too much they try to do the rehabilitation story of a villain and turning them good, like Peacemaker.
Sony. Looking at you, Sony, though. Those 3 bombs.
Yep.
Not Madam Web, the other 2. Morbius and the other one.
Yeah, because Madam Web technically was...
She's a hero.
She never was a hero either.
No!
She just kept everything together.
Right. At best an advisor and sometimes minor...
Yeah, but she would let Spider-Man fail because he needed to fail to keep everything together.
Right. Exactly. I just think that you're already talking about a minor, a beyond minor character who 99% of people not watching us right now, which is only a couple of people because we've got like 7 million people watching live right now. We appreciate all of you. Nobody would know that name, but like it's a core story element that's going to be hopefully utilized in Secret War. But I mean, maybe they won't. Maybe they just do the whole Robert Downey Jr. is playing a version of Tony Stark that became Doom because his daughter died, or because Thanos and him struck a deal in that universe and they each got half the stones. I don't know. Whatever. You know what I mean? So maybe what are the odds that you think that they actually even mention this story mechanism you've described? I say it's slim to none.
Yeah. But like Pape said here, Iron Man was considered a B-level hero.
C-level. C-list.
It wasn't until he had a movie that he blew up, and I think that also helped having RDJ portray him and literally look like Tony Stark.
And Jon Favreau and all the other creative controls behind the movie, like Ike Perlmutter and all the other people.
I can sing praises for Jon Favreau all day. He made it... Well, he technically wasn't. He didn't have his hands on it that much.
His name's on that fucking credit list, though.
But I mean,
anyway,
let's look at Jon Favreau's track record. He built a timeless Christmas movie, as he said he was going to do. He made a movie that launched a universe. He came into a universe that was struggling and saved it with 2 seasons of great TV. Jon Favreau is a great director, and he knows what he wants. I would love to work with Jon Favreau one day.
And he was in Rudy. Already got my vote.
He was also in PCU and, unfortunately, Biodome. And
he also got his ass kicked in the Octagon on an episode of Friends.
He did?
The defending champion stepped on his neck.
Yep. Am I the ultimate fighting champion? Then I must do it again.
Neck brace.
Swingers. I think he even directed Swingers.
He did. Yeah, dude, Pape, we've said that a bunch of times, even before we started doing like channel stuff together. Dude, a writer or a writing team, and that's no more than 2 people.
Too many chefs in the kitchen ruin a recipe.
Literally what he said in the other half of the comment. You know, it's like the King and I have co-written a couple of things in our time. And it's because we were able to come up with a cohesive vision and rein each other in when we start to go off the rails. You start adding a 3rd voice, a 4th voice, a 5th voice. Now you're taking in studio notes. Then you bring in a couple of interns. And then Kathleen Kennedy comes in with a cup of cold coffee. And she's like, we should just make her chick. Like, no.
Make it gay and put a chicken in it.
Put a chicken in it. Make her lame and gay. We should just get that clip like everybody else has. It works. When we're talking about this stuff, it works. But dude, King's E with the legendary knowledge drops. Son of I really teed you up for this. I played to your strengths. I'm gonna do that more often. That's the play. You know. Let me ramble about the political stuff every now and again. And then, hey, dude, what happened in issue 25 of the Uncanny X-Men first appearance of Nightcrawler? It wasn't 25, Wolf. It was 17. Fucking noob. Yeah, it's gonna be that. Hey, Jack Walton showing up there. Hey, dude, welcome. We're just about to wrap. What do we think about the 3 kids? I think the King and I are both on board.
We'll show them again.
Yeah, we had a couple of concerns about their appearances. The 2 boys in particular, they look like theater kids. They don't really look like they'd be angly, bullied type kids. We're both on board with the casting for Hermione, given that her physical description in the book was only ever limited to the buck teeth and the bushy hair. Her skin color or ethnicity was never brought into contention in the book, so they can cast whoever they want for visual here. Just because it was one way in the movie doesn't mean it needs to be that way visually going forward. And then the defense we had put up was, these kids getting hate mail at age 11 for taking jobs is stupid. Nobody should bully them. And then we did have a nit to pick about, by casting a young lady of color, they're setting up descriptions for obvious racism in the show when they get to the mudblood stuff, and it was unnecessary because that was already the code for having that discussion on racism. Like now it's going to be the hard N word with the R at the end, and it was unnecessary, and I think she's going to catch a lot of flack for it, and she shouldn't because she's just a kid taking a job, big breakthrough job for her.
I think kids should definitely get a buy from all that. Let them learn, and let's protect them.
Yeah. She's not 16, 17 years old and able to be out there on Twitter and make stupid political decisions, because then she'd earn some flack for those. I like the 3 of them don't really have much to go on to, because there's actually not a lot of them to go on. The other things we had looked up were the actress playing Hermione and Harry have a lot of they've been classically trained. They went to performance schools. She's been on things like Broadway in various high level productions. And I think the kid that played Harry was in he was either in a movie or a couple of plays as well. Ron seems to be the wild card. He just showed up for the audition, but as one of our other chatters had pointed out, they auditioned something like 40,000 kids over 2 years and picked him. So that's pretty standout, especially if you don't have a pro background. So it's a wait and see situation. Our big concern for the show is still the Snape thing. It seems odd that they went that route, considering they were talking about their big seller for the show was book accurate storytelling, and that seems like not book accurate storytelling. But that was about it on that. But, welcome, dude. Join us next. We're here Wednesdays, 9 Eastern. To drop us a subscribe if you haven't and come back. We love having these chats, and we read out everybody that chimes in with an opinion. We're always down. So with Pape, thank you again for all the fact checking early on. It's always a pleasure, my friend. King Z, give the gentleman a profound goodbye. Profound.
Well, see you.